Hello there. So, recently diagnosed with congestive heart failure. Well, I will explain my experience with it, what I went through with being diagnosed. At this point, that was about 3 months ago. Right, in July of 2019, I was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. The only symptom I really had at that time and that day that brought me to the emergency room was shortness of breath. I mean, I walked a few blocks from the parking lot to work and I felt like I ran, like sprinted an entire mile when I was just walking regular. And I just couldn't breathe, like it was just so hard to grasp a breath. I walk a couple of steps and I just have to stop again. And it freaked me out, and I work in a school, I'm a teacher. They contacted the nurse. The nurse saw that, you know, pretty much my blood pressure was super high. So they contacted EMS. They came, and EMS saw that my blood pressure was very high as well. So they recommended that I do go to the emergency room just in case. Because other than that, once I started to catch my breath, it kind of went away a bit. But I said, okay, let's just go. And so 5 days I spent in the hospital for them to monitor me, get tests done. But that day they took a little, portable sonogram of my heart. They saw it was enlarged. They saw how it was pumping, and immediately they knew that it's probably heart failure, something with my heart. So then the process started. About 8 hours it took before I got my own room upstairs. And funny thing is, when you're in the hospital, you are where you're supposed to be. So you're not panicked. You're not, sure you're worried and stuff like this, but you're really not too stressed because you are where you're supposed to be. So that day, admitted about 9 o'clock at night is when I finally got my room. And then they did an x-ray of my chest. The next day I got the official, echo of my heart, and that's when they saw, yeah, my EF was about 15%. That's ejection fraction. Your heart pumps out fluids from it, and most people are around 65% or more for a normal range. But I was at 15. And obviously that number kind of scares people, but so many thoughts, so many doctors just like come to see you and they go through the same thing. Oh, they check your legs to see if they're swollen, because that's a common symptom of heart failure. You get swollen legs, edema, whatever it's called. They check your neck, they're like this and that. They listen to your lungs, listen to your heart, over and over again. Many different doctors, and telling you how the heart works, this, it pumps that, chambers, valves. They break it down for you. Each and every one of them feel like it's their job to break it down for you. So you hear that so many times. And you're just in a bed and, you have people there and you're just like, okay, I get it. So, that's the first couple of days. Then the third day I was in the hospital, they wanted to do a catheterization test. They put the tubes in your arm, check out the pumping of your heart, the pressure, get a little bit more accurate numbers. And yes, it's 15% EF at that time. Then the game plan, give me medication, Lasix, and a bunch of medication that you just don't know what. They tell you what it's for. The nurses break it down for you. Oh, you're taking this for this. Like, yeah, sure, okay. You have no idea what the hell's going on. You're just like, okay, whatever needs to be done, sure. Note taking, this doctor, that doctor's names, PAs, nurse practitioners, like so many different people. And you're just like, oh my, what the hell's going on? But again, comfort because you're in a hospital, you're being taken care of, you are where you're supposed to be. I was pretty comfortable. I cried maybe 1 or 2 nights. Like fuck. You fucked up your heart. Excuse the language. But overall, I wasn't so bad with in terms of like anxiety, depression. So there, over and over again, you have this, you have that. And then another echo, and just more medication monitoring. Fine. Other than my shortness of breath, I really had no other symptom. So I have to say, I'm fortunate so far. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, my biggest problem was anxiety, panic attack from all this, because I'm like, the 5 days I was in the hospital, I've been taken care of. Nurses there, doctors, I'm where I'm supposed to be. I felt fine, protected. 5th day of discharge, started feeling that. As soon as I got down to the lobby of the hospital, my mind is like, oh, I'm going to the real world now. No more nurses at hand, no more doctors there, no more meals just given to me. I was like a mini vacation. No. Day of discharge. It's the summertime, so in the hospital, fresh air, AC, clean, not too bad. Get outside in the humid heat of the sun, of the summer, like it just starts where, moisture started to build up and mucus started to build up in my nasal cavity, and made it difficult to breathe, and so much going on outside, busy area. And it just slowly crept up on me, slowly. We go take a drive to the pharmacy to try to pick up my medications that I'm going to need, and it just more and more builds up. I can't breathe too well through my nose. I'm on the phone with a cousin who's a nurse, and trying to have her calm me down, and she said, get saline, spray to try to clear up your nose, because I felt like I couldn't breathe, and the heat and all this, and I just didn't deal with it, and I had no time in the hospital. You're there, but there's so many things going on. Went into CVS. To catch my breath, AC is cooler, good. Take the saline, try to, and I don't recommend it for everyone to do that because, salt water, sodium, heart failure. So, it was okay to use it, but, So anyway, CVS, breaking down, couldn't breathe. The saline spray helped. It cleared my nose, but I was already gone at that point. My mind was like, I'm gonna die. Right here, right now, CVS. This is it. I told my mom, call the ambulance. I want an ambulance. I want oxygen. I can't breathe. I just started to panic, and that's all I wanted. Ambulance, back. Ambulance comes, and I freak out more. So it's a panic attack at this point, because now it's like, no, I'm going back to the hospital now. Maybe I don't want to go back. And so I start freaking out. Panic mode sets in, hyperventilation, just breathing, my mind is everywhere. And I think in that moment, I'm never coming back from this. There's just no way I'm coming back from this. I'm gone, mind's gone, body's gone, whatever. And so they brought me back to the ER, the ambulance, and the ambulance driver, the EMS paramedic, he is like, do you just need a psych evaluation? You need to go to psychiatrics? I'm like, no, I'm not crazy, and that sparked me off to go even more. Like, no, I'm not crazy, this or that, and I try to explain my whole situation, and I just felt like I was gone, this is my life now. I'm forever changed. I will never be the same. And that's what I kept on just recycling over and over again. We get to the ER. I settle down somewhat, but I'm still like freaked out. And so 4 or 5 hours later, I really calmed down. I spoke with their on-site, psychiatrist, and just they said, physically I'm fine, health I'm good to go home. I just had an episode, and I need to get home, take a shower, just try to relax, and that's what happened. And then from there, it's day by day by day by hour by minute. And even now, 3 months, 3.5 months later, and I'm still dealing with it, but night and day. Like, there is a glimmer of hope. Now, you have triggers here and there, if you feel your breathing is a little off, you feel, flutters, or your heart skips a beat, which can happen, and with panic and, all that kind of anxiety, those little things could start flaring up. But because of our condition, they're like, is that our heart? Am I going to die? Well, whenever you get your checkups from your doctors, from your cardiologist team, if they're giving you green lights, you take that and you say, all right, that's good. You still wear, precautions, and you don't want to do too much. But if they're saying you're okay, for the most part, you're okay. And that's the hardest thing that I was learning. And I'm still I know if things start to go a little off, and I'm afraid that will bring me back down and set me back, but really I'm learning to not think that way. You don't just stay, and you're kind of convincing yourself that that's it, that you are heart failure. That's the label on you, that, from here on out, it's only heart failure. And so far, with my brief experience, I'm starting to see hope, and today, it was the first day in a long time where I had a brief moment of time where I'm teaching, and I didn't even think about it. It wasn't even a thought in my mind, just normal in a sense, So I'm gonna try to do a series of little mini videos to try and just put information out there for people who feel lost, or living with congestive heart failure. And there's a spectrum that I could try to break down later, and I'm learning myself, but there's a spectrum for heart failure. You have people doing very well and functioning with heart failure, and then you have other people who it's not so good. But usually the people who aren't doing so well, they have other heart conditions or other things that are playing into the heart failure. So everyone is different. You can't really say for sure, how long you will last. The whole mortality, that's a big thing with this condition, is that anxiety and fear of death just becomes much, much greater than, people who are healthy. And it makes sense. People in their 20s, 30s who develop this condition, there's so many different reasons. And, for me, it was hypertension that was left untreated for too long. Obviously, personal choices that obviously regret, but also it could be genetics. So, you look into your genetic and testing, and you just go one day at a time. And, really, seriously, I mean, that's such a cliche, but it's true. One day, one step at a time, 1 minute at a time. That's all we can do for now, and stay informed. I'm hoping that sometime my videos will help others just see the light in such a dark, dark moment in your life. There can be glimmers of hope, and hell, maybe this condition prolonged my life. I was 60 pounds heavier than this. This is me 60 pounds lighter. For the most part, I'm hoping that this actually prolongs my life, especially with the way I was going. So I hope that through my videos I could reach some people, calm you down, journaling, talking to people, therapy. I'm going through all this stuff, trying to figure me out. and, just to find hope, in such a dark time period of your life, that hopefully you could just say, this was actually a very positive thing that happened to me, because then you don't take every day for granted and you live it the way you can. So hopefully I can have some more videos to try to explain things in the future. Thank you for watching, and I seriously hope that you do all that you can to live a happy, healthy life. We're in this together. Thank you.